Hello, I am Andrew WK, and it really is a thrilling pleasure to be the featured artist this week on the LimeWire Store. I'm releasing a new album. It's called Close Calls with Brick Walls. But actually, this album did come out. It's my lost third album. I did I Get Wet, The Wolf, then Close Calls with Brick Walls. But originally, it was only released in Asia, in South Korea and Japan in 2006. Limited vinyl version came out a year or two later in the US. But other than that, people could only find it as an import or maybe get a copy from a friend that lived over in Japan or South Korea. So eventually it came time to finally release it. And thanks to the alignment of the stars and the gods bowing down and helping, we now can release it worldwide. So on March 23rd, the new album is out, and it's got a whole second disc of rare and unreleased material in addition to Close Calls with Brick Walls. The rare and unreleased collection is called Mother Mankind. Between the two of them, that's 39 songs, almost 2 hours of music. You got inserts, you got booklets. They're both in their own jewel case. The whole thing comes in a deluxe slipcase, and I really hope people like it because it's supposed to be fun. I've been very fortunate to work with all different kinds of people and all different sorts of organizations in the music business, in the entertainment industry. And I've worked with the largest record companies like Universal, and I've worked with people that put records out of their bedroom. And there's value and wonderful qualities to every aspect and every shade and color in this business. I get a kick out of all of it. And I say, why not use as many ways and take advantage of all the different people that have skills and experience and wisdom and special talents. I love the idea that music can be heard by as many people as possible. For me and this music, that's my goal. So ultimately, I want it to make music and have it out there. And that's why I like working with big companies, because they have the ability to do that. That's their business. But also, you don't always want to be shouting and trying to get to everybody. Sometimes you whisper, and only certain people hear that whisper. So only certain people are meant to hear that whisper. And I try to balance the whispering with the shouting. Well, originally, I wasn't going to tour at all on this Close Calls with Brick Walls re-release, this 2010 release. We did tour in 2006 in Japan and South Korea to support the record. And we also actually played one very special show in Orlando. But again, the gods are just dictating what is meant to happen here, and the least I can do is humbly follow their will. And basically, now we have the opportunity to do a whole tour. We're going to be doing the entire Warped Tour this summer. That's the first nationwide tour I've done with my full band since 2004, 2005. To me, these are miracles, but they just kind of came out. We had been following a plan while also trying to be spontaneous and keep a balance between having that master vision and your goal set and also being able to move on the fly when good stuff happens. So we're taking advantage, and I would assume that we're going to be touring for almost the rest of the year, if not the next 2 years. Love DJing. I've had the opportunity to DJ more than I ever have in my life over the last 2 years with Santos Party House, this club that my friends and I opened downtown here in Manhattan. And I always loved most about going to parties was sitting by the DJ or standing by the DJ or dancing by, like being near that musical source, the creative mastermind. Because even if you're listening to dance music that seems like it was all programmed, or there's not if it was all done on a computer, there's still this consciousness of the person who is making that music or choosing to play that music, and that's a very magical, exciting thing. I can't explain it. It's a unique quality that dance music has, and maybe it's because there's such repetition and so little change in certain aspects, like the beat may be very consistent for the whole night. But because you don't have to focus on that changing, you get to enjoy all these other more subtle qualities, and your awareness shifts. It's just an amazing dance music, and dance culture is an incredible thing I just love so much. So getting to be part of this club is amazing. And now getting to DJ more, I love to use CDs because I like the CDJs, and you can loop things on there very quick. It's very on the fly. I've seen the Serato, the computer program that people have been using, where you hook up the scratch, it's called, I guess, and then you hook up the records, and that looks amazing as well. It looks very similar to what you can do. But forever, I just like these discs, these CDs, and I love creating a new part on there, or adding beats to it, and performing, making it a musical experience for myself too. They're instruments. These CD players are instruments at this point. There's so much that you can change the pitch, you can change the time, you can loop a part, you can add beats. With the delay on the DJ mixer, you can make a beat that's going doom 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 doom, go doom 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 doom. You can just start using all these. It becomes an instrument. So I really enjoy it. My relationship with the song Party Hard feels the same as all the rest of my songs, more or less. But of course, this one is one that the most people have heard or been familiar with. And I guess that creates a different kind of feeling about it. But it certainly doesn't make me like it less. It makes me just, I guess, like it that much more. I've also never really thought of these songs like my music on one hand. And maybe that's like, maybe when there's a band where maybe only one guy in that band did write the song, then maybe, yeah, maybe one of the other guys that didn't write it and didn't even like it that much would get so sick of playing. I could see that. But because I'm a solo artist and because I have had this feeling, like made this music was made to accomplish something. It's not an expression of an experience I had. It's an expression of a desire to feel excited. So it's a very practical kind of music, and I don't think it's really worthwhile for me to have that kind of emotional involvement with anything that would take away from it. So I don't know. It just seems very silly to me to not like the music you made. If you made it, I can see. I mean, I understand. There's definitely times I don't feel like listening to it, but this song brought me the greatest experience I've ever had in my life. This music has been a gift from the gods that somehow I got to be involved in, and now has brought me, I mean, everything I've gotten to do, all the most fun I've ever had has been because of that music. So I bow down to it. I don't think of it as mine to like or dislike in that way, out of respect, because it's done so much for me. It'd be like saying, I mean, at the end of the day, you like your parents because they allowed you to be alive, and you have moments where you have different feelings about them, but at the end of the day, you can't deny that they gave you life. So these songs gave me my life. I don't know the secret of my success, because so much seems like good fortune to me. It really does. As much as you have to take an opportunity when you're presented with it and make the best of it, I take credit for that, but there's just for some reason, I've had these kind of opportunities come to me, and out of respect for everybody who hasn't, I wouldn't want to say that I had anything to do with that. Who knows? But now that they're here, I take them. So that's my advice, is learn to maybe recognize opportunities and then just take them, and never compromise. There's just no reason to not do what you want to do, and always keep trying to do it until you're doing it all the time. That's something I guess I realized very early on, because I saw other people living this way. I was fortunate to have these mentors, these older kids in my school or other people around town where I was growing up, that lived in this unreasonable way that other people didn't do, and they got to do things that other people said were impossible. And these were kids living on their own at 17 when we were in high school, and they would come to school in some crazy car that was all painted up, and they played in bands and pressed their own records, and they were just, there was no barrier for them between their ideas, inspiration, imagination, their creative desire, and the real world. It's just they manifested things as they thought of them. And I said, okay, that's the way to live. That's what I want to do. I want to figure out a way to do that. And I just spent time with these people and just learned how to do that. And all it is, it's sort of just a mind game that you have to play with yourself. It's a little trick. You have to teach yourself through habit, and make it a habit through repetition, that you can do whatever you want to do. And then at first, there'll most likely be a voice that says, you're crazy, what are you doing? You got to think rationally here, that's not how the real world works. And there'll be other people that might say that to you. And the more you think about it, the more that idea will come. But that's the best part, because then you just don't listen to the voice, and you do it anyway. And if you hear it, that's fine. You can say, I hear that voice, and of course, it does seem crazy. But if it's not saying it's crazy, then it's probably not worth doing. You got to take the biggest risks. The unreasonable stuff is the most exciting stuff. That's stuff that involves real potential humiliation, exposure, vulnerability. That you want to tear down into yourself and destroy yourself and rebuild yourself up in the way that you want to be, and do the same with the world around you. And it's not supposed to be practical, but it's supposed to be fun. And once you end up doing what you want and realize that you can all the time, it really is it's already what you're doing anyway, but you just realize that you can do stuff that's fun, that you enjoy. The hardest part about doing what you want every day in life isn't doing it. It's believing that you can, that it's possible. And to convince yourself of that is the hardest thing. And I'm still convincing myself, so it's a process, it's ongoing, but ultimately it can be very, very, very enjoyable.